ladies and gentlemen, Nick here. Now, what I'm about to do now is going to do a live reaction to Whatever Happened to Susan, the BBC4 radio play depicting their version of Whatever Happened to Susan, their version of what's happened to Susan after the events of the Dalek invasion of Earth. This is part of their program, Whatever Happened to, I believe it was called. If their actual title was something else, I'll just put it down here. It was broadcast on the 9th of January 1994 on BBC Radio 4. I believe it was the 7th and penultimate episode of the series. Certainly of, I think there was 2 seasons and this was in series 1. So, that. And they tried to explain what happened to Susan in their own way. I must warn you, I've heard this about 2 or 3 times, and this is the 3rd or 4th, I think it's the 3rd, and so I know what's ahead, and what you are about to listen to completely, apologies for the language, fucks up Doctor Who continuity, for the most parts, and those who have subscribed to Susan's, what happened to Susan after the events of the Dalek invasion of Earth in other mediums, such as the 5 Doctors, or Big Finish, the books, etc., then you're going to be pissed off with this. And, yeah, this will screw continuity. To be fair, on the ones post-1994, it did come before that, but for that stuff that came before 1994, like the 5 Doctors, which I'm going to be using as a big example, then, yeah, completely screws up. Not to mention it also screws up other continuity from seasons 1 and 2. So, without further ado, let's get started on possibly the worst thing Doctor Who has ever made. And it wasn't even made by any of the Doctor Who production teams, or merchandise, or expanded media production teams.
Oh, Adrian Morby finds out whatever happened to Doctor Who's granddaughter, Susan Foreman of Class 5B.
Right.
I had a happy childhood myself, although I don't remember Gally particularly well. We moved to London in 1963, to Coal Hill. I came here with my grandfather. My parents were too busy with the shop.
There's a shop in
What
Gallifrey.
they run?
It sold concepts, philosophical, religious, metaphysical, you know, the kind of thing. You could buy them in purely intellectual form or printed on a T-shirt.
I find that hard to believe.
Deputy Head, Coal Hill School.
And he's a governor, Dave the Doctor.
Foreman. Yeah, I remember her. She was the one who disappeared.
Yeah.
Family owned a scrapyard in Totters Lane.
Believe me, this is only the top of the
Yes, I'm afraid I do.
continuity areas at this point. Really at the top of the
How
barrel.
did you come to be at Coal Hill School?
Well, my parents were concerned about the education I was getting on Gallifrey. It was a very science-based planet. I was fine on astronomy, thermonuclear dynamics and warping, but my French wasn't very good.
Her French wasn't very good on Gallifrey.
It's a universal language. Everyone in our galaxy speaks some French. It's invaluable in a system like Alpha Centauri, where you can't get served unless on parle un peu de français.
I'll let them have that, but I never heard Alpha Centauri
Well, that was my grandfather.
speak French.
He just retired, so my parents sent me here with him. I was supposed to go to a lycée, but to be honest, grandfather was a bit nervous about settling down in Paris because of the lavatories.
Okay,
So
that's
we
fine.
landed up in Coal Hill.
I first became aware of Susan
yeah,
Foreman in
great.
1963. She was a new girl.
Got that right.
So I mean, she couldn't cut up a frog to save her life, but one day
I can't.
she explained Einstein's general theory of space and time to the class.
I just about hear, you know, the school teacher.
She understood it.
Well, no, she didn't understand it particularly well, but she was very relaxed about the ideas, as if they were old hat. So, I got talking in the staff room with Barbara Wright. We
Okay.
taught Susan history. And she said the girl showed a similar absurd confidence about things that happened in the past. Well, we couldn't decide whether she was an unusual talent who needed special tutoring or just a pain in the neck.
Well, that's about the gist of it.
So we tried to contact her parents.
They didn't do that.
And Susan became very cagey. Said they got a sail on, or some such nonsense. So, Miss Wright and I decided, and this is unethical, I admit, decided to follow Susan home
Yay.
to
Well-
Potter's Lane, where she was living.
This is true, I suppose. This is true.
Now, this bit is strange.
Yes, you're telling me, mate.
She was living inside a place box in this scrapyard.
Speak up, mate. We can't hear you.
Anyway, the next Monday, she wasn't at school.
Hmm.
And the phone box disappeared.
Right, I've got to pause this to actually talk about this, because what's happened, as they're going to explain later on, is that after the events of the chase, the Doctor drops Ian and Barbara off about exactly where they left off, but a couple of seconds later or something, a few minutes. So by the time the Monday comes around, so I presume that they went to the Coal Hill junkyard on a Friday, presumably Friday the 22nd of November, just the day before the episode was broadcast. Then, and probably around the same time as JFK's assassination over in Dallas, USA. Well, they say here that Ian and Barbara, as I mentioned, dropped off a few seconds later, no more than a day. So basically what the Doctor tried to do with Rose in Ames of London, but he got the coordinates wrong there. But anyway, so because of that, and then they say she goes through 22nd century Earth, as seen in Dalek Invasion of Earth, but then, well, there's an explanation later on which you'll notice, but then she arrives back in July of 64, so she's missed most of the school year, plus her mocks and exams. So, and Ian and Barbara won't remember anything. Already that's screwing up continuity, because, as we know, Ian and Barbara left after the chase. They arrived back in the spaceship, and they arrived back in London in 1965. You remember the meme, London 1965. So already we've got another continuity screw up. And this one is a biggie. The other ones I could let slide, but this time...
Well, that's all there was to it.
Yeah, I can see Ian and Barbara going back to work at the
I went
school
through
afterwards.
1964.
Did you meet her grandfather?
No. It was his scrapyard.
What about the time travel?
What do you mean? Time travel?
And
If
he's
Ian
forgotten everything.
Chesterton won't tell you about the trips we made, he is either lying or suffering time lag. It can bring on amnesia, it does happen.
100,000 BC?
Time.
And into the future, and back to the times of Marco Polo and the Incas.
Oh, dear. Look, like I said, we had all this out in 1964. Susan Foreman disappeared from school. She was 16. Girls at that age often did.
Okay, that
I
might be
get
true.
down to bragging with some boy in the back of a scooter, who, sort of thing. Claiming he'd had amnesia or been abducted by gypsies or something. Only she stays away. She comes back 8 months later with some tale that Barbara Wright and me have been travelling in time with her. And that in 200 years the Earth's going to be overrun by little men in metal boxes.
Well, useless.
She's not still sticking to that story.
Ask
Afraid
the
she
Charles if you don't believe me. Ask
Fowle.
Tennyson, he'll tell you.
Right.
Everyone knows you always get an honest answer from a fowl.
Okay, Susan. How can people from Earth somehow go to Skaro in what you believed is the not too distant in the future, or what it could be now the past even, due to resolutions? I stick to what the Dalek Handbook believes, and that believes that it took place the events of the Daleks took place in 1963, around the time when the Doctor was trying to get Ian and Barbara back home, but they landed in the wrong place, and then after that they had the fault with the mechanism, and they landed during Marco Polo times, and then the rest of season 1 happened. So, yeah, but so it could either be 63 / present day, or far future, or far past. Maybe not too far in the past, depending on when in the future it is, which is therefore gives the belief that Invasion Earth might even be a prequel. Timeline aside, whenever in time it took place, put that aside, with 9th century stuff, maybe not that likely due to the Cardiff War being 450 to 1450, maybe it was a dark time job, but either way, putting the time of the event aside, you still need to get to Skaro. So, tell me, Susan, Unless you've got your TARDIS on you, how can this reporter slash interviewer get to Skaro? Rockets can't go that far. We can barely get to Mars, let alone Skaro. Well, for humans anyway. I mean, for probes we can go further, but for humans we can only just about go to the moon.
1987, Temes's Skyedron has been EC Commissioner for overproduction.
Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding!
It's that unfortunate battle on Skaro. Well, I remember Ian very well from that time. Susan not so well.
And he's
Of course,
talking
we
like a
often
slippery
now
snake.
Community functions. Ian was a fine physical specimen and very active in our fight against the Daleks.
That's true.
I am almost certain he was not androgynous, which made him stand out somewhat amongst us Thals.
Okay, I don't know about that last bit, but with that the character, I think Tennesis didn't speak like he was a slippery villain in a way. He was just plain normal. So I don't know what this guy's doing. Maybe it's to give some difference between characters, but either way, it doesn't work. We're only 5 minutes in, 5.5. Still another 25 minutes left to go, and that's the length of a normal Classic Who episode. This is going to be difficult.
There was also a woman, Barbara, who was also far from androgynous.
Yeah, we don't know what that is, mate.
She backcombed her hair, as I recall, and stuck out her bosoms.
Oh yeah, I have to mention,
Angry that the
there's a couple of
Daleks
sexual
sent
references in this.
radiation into the atmosphere to try and wipe us out.
In fact, not just sexual,
He
just sex,
insisted we
full
fought
stop.
back.
Sex
Yes,
references.
as a guest. Of course, we went along with this view.
Hmm?
You say he remembers nothing of this?
Nothing,
What
mate.
happened after your battle with the Daleks?
Oh, we carried on going backwards and forwards in time. It was very tedious. You see, my grandfather was showing off. When Ian, Mr. Chesterton, had first come inside the TARDIS, he'd refused to believe it could move in time and space because he was an O-level science teacher.
I suppose
Of course,
that's
this
true.
was just the excuse my grandfather was looking for to take us everywhere and every when he wanted.
I thought it was established that TARDIS had control, not the Doctor.
And I noticed we always set down somewhere with a breathable atmosphere and compatible gravity.
Well, that's the
I get
TARDIS,
the
making you
impression you
safe.
didn't really enjoy time travel.
Well, you can get the most enormous time lag. And
Time
more
lag.
importantly, I was supposed to be sitting my mock O-levels while all this was going on.
Time travel!
I was quite worried too.
Why?
She was supposed to be invigilating.
Barbara Wright now lives in Mid-Wales.
The telephone call now.
Why does he want to talk about Coal Hill?
We're doing a programme about the time travel girl Susan Foreman. I believe you taught her history.
Look, I was out of teaching for years.
Right, either they're supposed to be making Barbara sound old,
I don't want that stuff. I don't want to talk about it.
But
It's bad stuff.
or the actress is just bored.
Phone boxes and talking tin cans. I don't do
I think it would have been better if they just went out to the house and interviewed her properly instead of just on the
You
phone.
got the wrong number.
Back in the 1960s, I did a spell as an agony aunt on Petticoat,
Just
which
cut
was a
that,
teenage
just
magazine.
rewrite the scene.
And I remember getting these letters from a girl in South London who was
Oh.
missing her parents.
Claire Ring.
South
I
London.
wrote back to her twice saying that she must stand up to her grandfather, who I think owned a scrapyard in Tower Hamlets.
That's better.
I never received
Sure
no
did.
reply,
That's
but by
easy.
then we were off with Mr. Chesterton and Miss Wright in the TARDIS.
The letters dried up after that, but I did have
Tower
a
Hamlets
postcard
is
from
in East
France
London.
dated 1794.
Oh, for
It
goodness
said
sake.
her grandfather had taken her away and she wanted either to go home to her parents or back to school. Well, I wrote back saying that her grandfather had no legal right to take her out of full-time education and she should ring the attendance officer herself if he wouldn't listen to reason. In my experience, having a talk about these things...
I
thinking
can
about
understand all
it,
this stuff.
would
Let's just go
never
through
work
it.
good.
I thought it was a really mean trick to take us back to 1794.
Oh, for goodness
I'd made it very clear to Grandfather that I wanted to get back in time for my French
This-
oral, and I thought that's what he was going to do. But he took me back to revolutionary Paris instead. Oral history, my girl, he said. Oral history.
I don't remember him saying that in
The
the
idea of
Reign of
a
Terror.
joke.
Didn't Ian and Barbara have any say in all this?
Well, Mr. Chesterton went quite loopy after destroying the Daleks. He had kind of bloodlust. Detained lust, I suppose you'd call it. And Miss Wright had become very distant and superior since the Aztecs proclaimed her a reincarnation of the High Priest Yatexa.
Really?
It was the backcombing. You see, in their theology, reincarnated immortals look like Kathy Kirby. So you see, it was difficult to get any sense out of either of them. And anyway, my grandfather was a frustrated Time Lord, let's be honest.
A Time Lord?
They're the people who control the space-time continuum.
Well, Susan
They're
would
based
know
on
that
galaxies.
because she's
My
one of them.
grandfather got himself put up to be one, but he was blackballed. We're not quite certain why.
I'll tell you
He
what.
got wind of his interventionist.
I'll tell you why. Because he disagreed with their methodologies. I'm sure Susan probably was aware of some of this, really. But because the Doctor didn't agree with them, he ran away in a police box. And she took Susan with him. So being blackballed, it's basically, I guess, their way of saying the Doctor didn't agree with them, so they just didn't like him. Maybe they shunned him for it, perhaps. But either way, it's a pretty weak explanation. Especially coming from Susan, who would have at least known a little bit of what was going on.
He preached non-involvement, but he didn't practice it, you see. Most of
That's
the times
true.
and places we visited are restricted. You'd never get a flight plan agreed for 1794.
Flight plan?
Too significant. Consequently, we had to use the temporal B roads to avoid detection.
Temporal
Imagine
B
that's how we sometimes got lost.
Time
Ian
travel is not like driving up a road.
Scrap merchant.
No, he's confusing the fact that in November 1963 our TARDIS was parked in a scrapyard in Totters Lane. My grandfather was a retired time traveller, which is like any traveller, commercial traveller, you know, except that he used to sell things in time and space rather than just in the space continuum. It's quite legal.
I'm sure it
How
is,
long
but
did
it's
you
not
travel into
correct.
8 months. My grandfather had enough of me by then, and he locked me out of the TARDIS.
That's not true. That's
When
not
was
true.
this?
That's not true. Not true. Not true. Stop lying. Stop lying. He wanted Susan to be happy. He let her stay with David because he felt it was time for her to become her own woman and be with the man she fell in love with, more or less. Well, at least the man she thought she fell in love, and I suppose expanded media later confirms this. But it wasn't the fact he was fed up with her, it was time that he thought it was time for her to become her own person and not worry about him anymore. It was a sweet scene. This is making it look like the Doctor has become a villain. In fact, the whole radio play is making it look like the Doctor is the main villain of the entire series. Never mind the Daleks, the Doctor is the villain. Certainly the first Doctor, at least.
2164. The Daleks were trying to mine out the Earth's core and replace it with a propulsion unit that would enable them to fly this planet around the galaxy.
They got that right.
The place was in a terrible mess. I was pretty angry about being dumped there.
But I understood your science teacher had already destroyed the Daleks on Skaro.
Oh,
That's true, but that was in the far distant future.
also, I think.
You see, so incensed were some of the Daleks by the defeat Ian and the Thals were inflicting upon them, they got in a time machine and flew back to Earth in the hope of revenging themselves on Mr. Chesterton's race, or better still, stopping him being born. That's the kind of thing you can do when you time travel.
You mean
can't-
revenge
don't know
yourself
if
for
it's
something
happening.
by preventing it happening?
Yes. Unfortunately, their TARDIS developed a leak in the fluid link and couldn't get any further back than 2164, and Ian was in fact 150 years dead. Not much use to them, so they set about enslaving the entire
Daleks had their own
population,
TARDIS.
mining out the Earth's core, you know how it is.
I know that they
Except
had the
then
time machine.
we-
Hang on a second. No. 2157! God, Big Finish got the time wrong as well in Masters of Earth. They put it as 2164 when the Doctor and company stopped the Daleks, as opposed to 2157. Sorry, 2157 when they landed, making it look like the Daleks had landed in 2154. And here it's now saying the Daleks landed in 2164, which means, I guess, they're going to be stopped in 2174. Do you not know Dalek Invasion of Earth timeline? At least when they made the movie, they changed the date, so not to cross over and not to have any problems. They made it Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, and that actually sounds cooler as a film title as well. 2150 AD as opposed to 2167 AD. But still, and you could say that the Earth there was bombarded in 2140 and then invaded. But, you know, everyone, apart from possibly the Dalek movies that decided to shift the date for their alternative version of the story, apart from that, everyone has been getting the dates wrong, apart from maybe the mutant phase. Don't know if Big Finish have done any other stories around the Dalek invasion of Earth, besides the mutant phase and the Masters of Earth. They got mutant phases right, they did not with Masters of Earth. And Masters of Earth is a more recent story. Would you believe it's 2013, 2014, whilst Mutant Phase was very late 2000. Jesus Christ! The books may have gotten it right. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Alive 8 months later. It gets very confusing.
Yes.
So, of course, we joined the freedom fighters, because
Naturally.
that's the kind of person my grandfather is.
Mm-hmm.
Given a choice, he'll always join the freedom fighters.
Usually.
Usually they're better looking.
2164.
21.
You don't remember the fight to free the Earth from the Daleks?
Well, as potty as she is.
Oh, now they're
Grandfather
saying that they aligned it
claimed
in
that he knew what
2164.
was best for me and that I had to stay with David Campbell, the leader of the freedom fighters.
He thought that's what
I
you
knew
wanted.
what he was up to.
And what was that?
I was cramping his style.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There he was, nipping round the back roads of the space-time continuum, meeting up with these blonde thals and Aztec handmaidens and French courtesans. The last thing he wanted was some teenager calling him grandfather,
God.
particularly as he'd found a way to regenerate himself.
Oh, that comes later.
Oh, yes. And once he'd hacked into how it was done, he went one further and made sure he came back younger. Each time he's regenerated, he's rejuvenated. And why? I think that's obvious. Every time I meet him, he's with some woman.
Hang on. If she's saying that he's getting younger every incarnation, I just want to point out that the third Doctor is actually quite young. By the looks of it, he's younger than the second. I think, maybe I'm wrong. Just saying. And 6 and 7 are older. Sorry, 3 is... I think 3 is older than 2. And also 6 is older than 5. That's definite. Maybe even 7, maybe slightly older. I'm not sure. Than 6. Maybe. Well, not at 8 yet, so 7's the incumbent.
Zoe, Sarah Jane, Joe, Ace, Romana.
Which one?
He always claims there's nothing going on between them, but why does he go to such lengths to keep himself young?
I think that Christmas tape with him kissing Romana under the mistletoe is more canon.
I'm sorry, you rather lost me there.
Ask him. Ask them. All the women he's had in the back of that TARDIS.
Ha! That's
This
how.
is Joe Jones of Vampire Vach Gwynedd.
Well, at least they've got that
Formerly
bit.
Joe Grant.
Susan has got this whole thing with her grandfather completely out of context. The Doctor liked female companions. Nothing wrong with that.
Like companions,
He
you
was a
stop.
doctor.
Not a medical doctor, no. He got some open universe degree. He used to be a commercial time traveller. And then after he retired, he took this PhD in botany, I think it was.
Botany?
Well, there are quite a few planets where plants are more intelligent than the people, you know.
That's true.
Did
Verbals.
he have the secret of rejuvenation?
I didn't know it was a secret. He used to pretend he didn't know how it happened.
Joe didn't even know about
It was
it
a hormone thing.
until
Hormone
Death of the
reversal
Doctor.
treatment, I think they called it. Anyway, you were asking about sex, really, weren't you?
Jesus Christ. Even Joe's onto how stupid this situation is, and she wasn't the brightest tool in the shed when she was the incumbent main companion. God. Also, the voice actress for Joe is actually pretty good. We're not even halfway in